other economies in our region. So we can think of infrastructure development as the spinal cord of the economy. It's that essential, and because with good infrastructure, you can address all the major problems that the business community often raise. The ease of doing business will be facilitated, will be promoted. The cost, in particular, of doing business in this country will be much reduced, and as a result, investments will grow. And with more investment, you can have more opportunities opened up for our population. In the SONA of the President, he raised about the expansion of employment, right? And the reaction of some people that we have seen after that is, but where are the jobs? Of course, this trust to address these basic constraints to investment is precisely to raise the quality of jobs. With investment, we'll be able to elevate the opportunities of our workers for higher quality, more remunerative jobs. And so with rapid growth, fueled partly by infrastructure development, we can expand economic pie, we can increase incomes, we can produce a lot of employment opportunities, and that will allow us to achieve what we have called the inclusive growth. And with the inclusive growth, we will be able to reduce poverty to single-digit level, and that is in the Philippine Development Plan for 2023 and 2028. That's the bigger picture, at least.
Thank you so much, Secretary Balisacan. We also just recently signed the Maharlika bill. It's signed into law. How can the Maharlika Fund be of help to our big-ticket infrastructure projects?
As we have said, and the President has mentioned in the SONA, the Maharlika Fund is another avenue, another pillar for raising investments. Through the Maharlika, we could channel low productivity or government assets, financial assets that are out there that are earning but not as high as what we would expect otherwise. For example, in our estimates, we find that these financial assets of some of our public financial institutions are earning 4 or so percent returns, but with productive, highly remunerative, high-impact projects like the ones by our DOTr Secretary and DPWH and even Department of Health, we could raise those earnings to 8%, and so you could you can imagine that you're expanding the options for the future because the fund will expand, but at the same time you are able to bring in more resources for high-impact projects. And that is, I think, very important, especially when we become already or we join the ranks of upper income, middle income countries, no? By 2025, because by then we will lose our access to concessional funds, concessional loans, no? And that means that we won't get any more soft loans from ADB or from World Bank, but we'll be competing with market rate funds for our infrastructure. And so this is an additional avenue for us to access development funds.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Balisacan. Now, when we talk about physical connectivity, we also talk about internet network connectivity, okay? So we have with us Department of Information and Communications Technology. Sir, Secretary Ivan Uy, ibinida ng Pangulo ang ating progress sa internet speed sa global rankings. What did DICT do to achieve this, and what other internet infrastructure projects can we expect? What other wins in terms of connectivity have we achieved this year?
Thank you, Daphne. Well, actually, what has really pushed our digital infrastructure and digital connectivity was the ease of doing business, no? In partnership with ARTA and with our telco private sector partners. We work on liberalizing and making it easier for them to deploy their common tower infrastructure. And actually, the recent executive order that was signed by the President emphasizes this. So because of the easier, lesser red tape in applying for all the permits and licenses in order to set up the common towers all over the country, it's now more economical and faster for all our telco partners to be able to deploy connectivity across the country. At the same time, with the digital infrastructure, we're seeing that today, more and more data are actually being generated. And as they all say, data is the new oil today. And with all that data, we're expecting an increase, a rapid increase in the capacity of the data centers. In fact, in the next 2 years, we project at least a 500% increase in data center capacity within the country. At 500%. Why? Because the hyperscalers are really looking at the Philippines being an ideal location for them to host it. And once these large data centers are deployed, a lot of the data will be stored there. Then what will now be the engine that will drive all this oil? It will be artificial intelligence. As we use more AI and in the business process outsourcing, in many of our applications, that engine will now be fueled by all this data, and we will be able to cater to our foreign clients in the data in the business process management outsourcing community. But at the same time, also provide good data for governance, because with our integrated eGov platforms, we will be integrating a lot of public services into that platform. And that will allow us to make data-driven decisions that will be focused, and there will be no guesswork that has been plaguing normally government decisions because of the lack of data and the right information to do so. So that's what's in store, and that's what's been happening in the digital connectivity and digital infrastructure side.
Thank you. So data to be used for policy making and future projects. That's great. Let's move on to the Transportation Department. Sir, the President said intermodal connectivity will be a primary consideration. Roads, bridges, and mass transport systems will be interconnected. This network will provide access and passage to vital and bustling economic markets, such as agriculture hubs, tourism sites, and key business districts. Would you please expound on more on these plans, its direct benefits to the people? What are the challenges in its execution? Secretary Bautista.
Thank you. Thank you, Daphne, and good afternoon to everyone. Intermodal connectivity is very important for all of us who travel by land, by air, by sea, or by rail. And the Department of Transportation is working very hard to see to it that we implement all the programs that we have planned. For the airport, there are around 90 airports in the country, no? But only 45 are on commercial operations. No? And the Department of Transportation, together with its attached agencies, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, continue to upgrade the airports. No? We are upgrading airports of, for example, the Bicol International Airport, the regional airports in Palawan, in Dipolog, no? And all other small airports. No? So CAAP, together with DOTr, continue to upgrade all these airports. No? But one major project that the Department of Transportation will implement this year is the modernization and upgrading of the Manila International Airport. No? The NEDA board approved a few weeks ago our proposal to have a solicited bidding so that many interested parties can participate in the modernization of the Manila International Airport. No? We're expecting that by early August, we will be able to publish the terms of reference so that we can invite prospective bidders. No? And with that, we're hoping that by end of October or early November, we will be able to accept proposals. No? And by the end of the year, we can already award the project to the winning bidder. And a few months later, after financial closing, the concession agreement can be started. No? So this is one project for the airport that we think will be implemented soon. No? This will result to increased capacity of the Manila International Airport, no? Considering that this airport is already congested with only a capacity of 32 million passengers per year, but now handling more than 40 million. No? In fact, today the airport is now handling around 140,000 passengers a day compared with 115,000 a year ago. No? So that's a big increase in the demand and increase in the number of passengers that pass through Metro Manila. So we think that this project is very important, and with the support of the other government agencies, we will be able to implement this project. No? Another important project that we are implementing are the rail sector projects. No? We have this North-South Commuter Railway, which is a 147-kilometer railway from Clark Airport to Calamba, Laguna. And we're hoping that we should be able to complete this by 2028. No? We have awarded almost all the contract packages. I think except for 2 contract packages, all contract packages were already awarded. And construction is in full swing. No? We have also started the actual boring of the tunnel for the Metro Manila subway. No? February 9, when the President inaugurated the first operations of the tunnel boring machine. No? And we're expecting that the tunnel from Valenzuela to Quirino Avenue will be completed by the end of the year. We're taking delivery of more tunnel boring machines which will operate simultaneously so that we'll be able to complete this project by 2028. And hope that this will again provide additional service to our riding public. No? We're also expecting to complete the extension of LRT1. No? 5 additional stations from Baclaran to Sucat. We're expecting that this will be completed by September of next year. This will reduce travel time from Baclaran to Sucat to just 10 minutes, from 45 minutes to 1 hour. No? Another rail project that we will complete in 2 years is MRT7. No? This is a rail system from North Avenue, EDSA, to San Jose del Monte. It will reduce travel time by 1.5 hours, no? Because right now travel time from that place going to Manila is 2 hours, no? And with the new train system, it will be reduced to just 30 to 35 minutes. No? We are also in the process of finalizing the feasibility study for new railways. No? The President mentioned about a 1,000 kilometer railway in his SONA. And we already have the fund to do the feasibility study for the rail system from Clark to Ilocos, no? And Clark to Cagayan to Cagayan Valley. No? We're also have the fund to support the feasibility study for the Panay Railway and also for the Northern Mindanao Railway from the airport to the city of Cagayan de Oro. No? We're also in the process of finalizing the financing for the Clark to Subic Freight Railway. No? So we hope that we will be able to start working on this. No? On the maritime sector, we are improving many ports, no? Through the Philippine Ports Authority. No? In the road sector, we are in the process of building more bike lanes, no? To support the active transport. We're also in the process of finalizing construction or finalizing the project for the Taguig integrated terminal exchange, no? Which is similar to PTEX that we have here in Parañaque. No? There are other airport projects that we will start, no? And hopefully we will be able to have some of this completed within the next few years. No? Bulacan Airport, for one, is very promising. We visited the site a few months ago, and the land development is almost 70% complete. And we're hoping that by next year, San Miguel Corporation can start constructing passenger terminal building and runway. No? So there are so many projects that will work with DPWH also about tollways. No? And we will work closely with them so that we can complete all these projects.
Okay, I could see Secretary Garcia Frasco nodding a lot. We're getting very excited over these projects under your department, Secretary Bautista. So let me jump to you, Secretary Frasco. You, the Department of Tourism is partnering with the DPWH and DOTr. Of course, you're all working together, all of government, and improving roads, railways, airports, and on the like. Would you like to tell us more about this impact of this in our tourist destinations and your plans for that?
Thank you very much. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Ug sa tanan natong kaigsuunan sa Kabisayaan ug Mindanao, maayong adlaw. Love the Philippines. I'm smiling from ear to ear because with all of the projects in infrastructure and transportation that have been lined up, implemented, and are continuing under the Marcos administration, this is truly reflective of what our President articulated very early on last year. And that is that tourism is a priority, applying not only a whole of government, but a whole of nation approach towards reviving this most promising sector. Because of the prioritization of the Marcos administration, especially in terms of strengthening the essential pillars of tourism development that include infrastructure and transportation, we have seen a robust growth in the industry post-pandemic. Last year, we exceeded all of our targets in terms of international arrivals by nearly 1 million, garnering in for the country over 1.87 trillion pesos in combined spending of international and domestic tourism, with over 102 million domestic trips having been taken by our fellow Filipinos. All of this translated to over 5.35 million jobs for Filipinos, and if you multiply that by the average number of members per family, that's over 25 million Filipinos that have benefited from tourism. Specific to infrastructure, through our continuing partnership with the DPWH, there have been over 158 kilometers of roads leading to tourist destinations that have been constructed and are ongoing. And we're very optimistic that in the coming year, investments in tourism roads will continue so that we can continue to expand countrywide development as far as tourism is concerned, so we fulfill the President's vision that no one is left behind as far as the local government units to benefit from tourism development. We're also very happy to note that through our partnership with the Department of Transportation, wherein the DOT, together with its attached agency, TIEZA, presented its proposals to the DOTr for the improvement of our gateways. You can now readily see and feel the warmth of the Filipino love and the hospitality when you land in NAIA Terminal 2, as there are Filipino-made furnitures, improvements in the interiors, plants, solar panels, charging stations, and the like in this particular airport. This effort, we hope to be able to expand as well in partnership with the DOTr in the Davao International Airport, as well as the Cebu City Port and in many other gateways in the Philippines, recognizing that our gateways are the first and last impression of our tourists. With regard to the secondary gateways of the country, we have also made efforts to converge with fellow government agencies, especially in terms of resuming pre-pandemic flights and adding 2 more flights to our secondary destinations in order to encourage connectivity. And with this, we are seeing additional flights to Clark International Airport so that we can fully maximize the capacity of this airport. Of course, Cebu, which has been awarded the best airport in Asia under the 5 million category, continues to grow in terms of the number of flights going to other domestic destinations. We've also seen new flights into Palawan, which has been declared by a Wanderlust in the UK as one of the most desirable island in the rest of the world. And so all of these investments that the Marcos administration has made in infrastructure development and connectivity have readily resulted in this growth in the tourism sector that we can only see to grow further, as we are very optimistic in not only meeting but also exceeding our targets this year of 4.8 million international arrivals, since as of this day, we already have over 3.1 million international visitors having come into the Philippines, translating to over 215 billion visitor receipts thus far.
Thank you so much, Secretary Garcia Frasco. Wow. We'll get back to you shortly. Let's move on to energy, of course. Secretary Latilia. The President said renewable energy is the way forward. The government recently allowed full foreign ownership in renewable energy projects to boost foreign investment in the sector. Aside from this, what are the DOE's efforts to attract investments in the renewable energy sector, especially in streamlining the application for implementation of new energy projects?
Thank you, Daphne. The President has stressed the need to diversify our sources of power and energy. And renewable energy is the key, because then this is indigenous and therefore readily available for us, not subject to the volatilities of the external market. But as you know, the power and energy sector in the Philippines is in private hands. And therefore, the role of government has been to support the initiatives of the private sector. And so far, the department has approved 126 service contracts in renewable energy service contracts in the 1 year of the Marcos administration. And these represents a potential of around 31,000 megawatts. Just for context, by 2028, the peak demand of the Philippines will be at around 25,000 megawatts, up from our current 17,000 megawatts peak demand. And to be able to meet that demand, we will have to make available more than 8,000 megawatts of new capacity. Under the vision of the President, 43% of that should at least be from renewable energy. But renewable energy, as you know, is site-specific, and therefore connectivity is at the core of renewable energy. We've got to connect the source to the markets, and transmission is key. So we need to improve, for example, on the system impact studies, because these have to be addressed upfront rather than later. And the system impact studies, unfortunately, are rather delayed. A number of you in this sector have been complaining of delays from 1.5 to 2 years in the system impact study alone. So these are the things that we want to be able to address, so that the RE developers will be able to focus on the rollout of their projects. The other is, of course, the Energy Virtual One-Stop Shop, which imposes the law, which imposes timelines on the delivery of permits or the approval of permits by the different agencies. And the Executive Secretary is chairing this one. And so by the next meeting, for example, we will be looking at how the transmission concessionaire, the NGCP, is going to specify the 60-day requirement for approval of just the system impact studies. So all of these we need to connect, and we will be challenged by the needs, for example, of the transport sector, which Secretary Bautista pointed out. Most of these land transport, for instance, will be electricity dependent. And of course, it's cleaner and more convenient for our people, but then we need to be able to deliver that demand. And we are working with the private sector, and we commit ourselves to deliver on those. Thank you.
Thank you. You have your work cut out for you, but you seem to be on the right track, and with all the agencies helping each other. That's great. Now, let's move on to human settlements and urban development. Secretary Acuzar, ibinida ng Pangulo kahapon sa SONA ang tagumpay ng ating pambansang pabahay para sa Pilipino Housing Program, or 4PH. How is 4PH program going to be funded? Who are the beneficiaries of the 4PH program? And who should be identifying the beneficiaries? Gaano kaabot kaya ang pabahay mula sa 4PH program, sir?
Good afternoon. Yung pong programa po ng ating mahal na Pangulo na pambansang pabahay para sa Pilipino, ito po ay pangkalahatan, hindi lang po pang mahirap. Ang una pong tinatarget nito ay yung mga resettlement, yung mga yung mga urban poor. Kaya po mapapansin niyo na po ngayon at nakikisama na po yung mga urban poor sa aming mga programa. Like, meron kaming ginagawa din na isang projects dito po sa dito sa lupang arenda. Ang lupang arenda ay one of the biggest slum area here in Metro Manila. So, ang program po ng pambansang pabahay, pangkalahatan to. Kahit yung mga drivers, yung mga waiters, lahat po yan kasali. Hindi lang po yun ng squatters. Pero may mga big projects po yung pambansang pabahay. Yung pondo po na pinagagamitan, the funds, are coming from the private sectors. Ang hiningi po lang namin dito is the funds for the interest subsidy. Pag kumuha po kami ng interest subsidy, kami po ay kukuha ng pondo sa private sectors. Yung dati pong traditional housing program of the governments, getting the funds from the governments, hindi po kakayanin ng gobyerno. Hindi po matatapos ang backlog ng housing. Kasi po, ang ginagamit po natin dito ay government funds. Sa ibang bansa po, ang gamit talaga private funds when it comes to housing. Pagka ang housing po ay nanggaling sa private funds, even in the banks, pag sa banks po nanggagaling ang pondo, ang simple lang po, ang developers uutang sa bangko. Ang bangko, ang developers magbebenta sa beneficiaries. Ang beneficiaries naman po uutang rin sa bangko. Ang beneficiaries naman magbabayad sa bangko, sa developers. And developers magbabayad sa bangko. By doing that systems, hindi po mawawala ang pondo. Ang gawa lang po ng gobyerno rito ay yung interest subsidy. Kasi the interest subsidy, instead of pangbayad ng 6%, 1% na lang po. Pero, kung hindi pa rin kaya ng mga squatters, resettlement, sigurado hindi kukulang. Kasi dati po yung bayad po ng 6% sa ordinary projects na ginagawa namin ngayon sa DSUD is about 8 to 10,000. With the interest subsidy and other systems na ginagawa po namin, ay bumaba pa po ng 2,500 to 3,000. Kung hindi pa rin kaya, meron din po kaming systems na graduated amortization. So in other words, everything here in the country, kasali po sa housing program ng DSUD. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Acuzar, for explaining the 4PH program. Very exciting po. Let's move on to Department of Agriculture, USEC Zombilia. An additional 600 kilometers of farm-to-market roads have been built this past year in the various areas of the country. How has this helped our farmers, and what other directives has the President laid down to ensure easier, faster, and more comfortable transport of farm goods?
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon to all. Actually, it's 662.67 kilometers of road, to be exact. And that is a combined accomplishments of the regular programs of the Department of Agriculture, yung sa sugar or SRA natin, sa SIDA law, and of course, yung project na Philippine Rural Development Project. No? And in addition to that, meron din tayong nagawa na 670 lineal meters of bridges. Okay? Napaka-importante po ito na banggit na po yung connectivity na kailangan natin, lalo na sa mga rural areas na talagang medyo malayo sa mga urban cities at sa mga consumers kung saan kailangan talaga yung produkto. No? So, to farmers, this would mean, easier for them to transport their produce, which will give them, encourage them to, diversify their production. Lalo na sa yung mga kailangan natin na perishable, because it's going to be easier now to, for these products to reach the consumers in the urban areas or in the cities or in even the town centers, no? And that will give a greater variety of food in the local markets, for health reasons, no? So, more diversified, less cost in traveling, in moving this produce to the market centers will mean, greater incomes to the farmers. No? So that's very one reason for the importance of really putting up these farm-to-market roads. The second is that it will connect them also to processing centers, even to the ports for export goods na talagang exportable natin. So again, that will again, result to, higher income, greater business opportunities to farmers, more livelihood for them, because then, agribusiness related industries can grow, and it means more employment also to the rural areas. So hindi lang po yung mga farmers and fisher folks ang mabebenefisyuhan, pati po yung mga tao na nakatira doon sa rural areas. Kasi it will be easier for them to access health services, other social services at, faster time and lesser cost. So it really means, the whole welfare of the society, will be benefited by this enhanced connectivity. So kaya noong very first meetings ni President with the agriculture sector, with the Department of Agriculture, ang una niyang instruction is to come up with a farm-to-market network plan. And I think that was what was done, and we already have that plan. It's going to be the master plan for all farm-to-market routes that going to be, constructed in the next, hopefully matatapos. Kasi ang kailangan pa po nating farm-to-market routes is about 1,155 kilometers. That's how, how much more kilometers of farm-to-market roads, we need, for the next, and gusto ni Presidente, tatapusin natin lahat yun. So it's going to be a big challenge. So in addition to, meaning to say, yung farm-to-market roads tala for rural empowerment talaga, rural community empowerment. So without this talaga, magiging isolated ang mga iba nito. So I think, it's really very important. Aside from that, meron din pong ginagawa ngayon na yung tinatawag, together with ADB, Philippine, let me just check, Philippine Food Chain Logistics Master Plan. So that will identify the specific interventions that are going to be needed to really, enhance the agriculture sector. Saan po itong mga logistics and facilities are going to be strategically provided. At saka, saan po tayo kukuha ng investments, to make all of these things happen. So, medyo talagang, the President has been really looking at the agriculture sector. Talagang inaano niya na ang agriculture is still the backbone, one of the backbone of the economy. So, yun.
Thank you, Yusek Sombilia. Very important work you're doing there. Let's bring it back to the Public Works and Highways Secretary Bonoan. Considering the country's vulnerability to various forms of natural disasters such as flooding, what are the DPWH big-ticket flood control projects that are nearing completion, and how is the DPWH ensuring the timely completion of these projects?
This is another sector that we are trying to face several challenges actually, yung flood control program of the department. Kasi sabi nga ni Presidente, I think you have to construct now flood control projects that are more resilient and sustainable because of climate changes and things like this. So, technology will tell us kung ano man naman yung pwede natin gagawin. But in the meantime, I think let me start with some of the projects that we are undertaking. Kasi we will continue to build flood control structures. But this will now be integrated in the water resource management, water resource development management principles. And yung hindi na yung patsi-patsi siguro yung gagawin namin dito because we'll address it on the river basin program para mas malaki yung lawak ng masasakupan. No? And I think this will be more effective in many areas for flood control in many parts of the country. No? There are many projects that are ongoing right now. There are 18 major river basins in the country, and some of the biggest river basins like Cagayan River Basin, dito sa Panay, and many more. In Metro Manila, let me just expound. In Metro Manila, kasi siyempre binabaha ang Metro Manila. And for now, we will soon complete actually yung rehabilitation ng mga pumping stations in Metro Manila. I think there are 20 of these that are being upgraded and rehabilitated pumping stations in Metro Manila. And we are constructing another 10 new pumping stations in Metro Manila to facilitate yung yung waters in Metro Manila. We are also constructing actually yung mga booster pumps dito sa mga river channels para mas mabilis yung pagpunta ng tubig papunta doon sa mga pumping stations. All this we expect that I think in a very short time, I think we're just about to finish actually yung rehabilitation nga ng mga pumping stations. But again, in Metro Manila, I think one of the biggest challenge is actually solid waste disposal. You know? And we are coordinating with the Metropolitan Development Authority actually to look into this. Kasi kahit na ka-efficient din yung mo, kung maraming basura yung pumupunta sa'yo, then it will just impede the flow of water. So anything, this is going to be a challenge to everybody. In the same manner as yung mga kuwan din sa mga major river basins, siyempre, yung mga encroachments in the river basins, yung mga structures and all this will have to be, well, relocated siguro and find out how we can best actually accommodate them so that they would be free from yung inundation. And once we construct actually yung mga flood control measures namin, and I think it will be good. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Secretary Bonoan. Flood control and solid waste disposal, a lot of projects. Let's move on. Secretary Ivan Uy, please tell us about the success of the Broadband Masa program.
Well, the Broadband Masa program is a comprehensive program that integrates our national broadband together with our free Wi-Fi project. And so with respect to the national broadband aspect, we're actually already been able to connect Baler to from Aurora to Poro Point in La Union. So that will be live in probably by next month. Then the Luzon connection from the north, from Ilocos down to Quezon City, we're projecting that by the end of the year, that should also be live. That provides about 2 terabits of capacity to our current capacity. In the meantime, with our deployment on the free Wi-Fi, what's good is today we have more options. In the past, connecting the remote islands and the remote mountainous communities have been rather difficult because most of the modalities that would be required to provide the digital transport is expensive. And it requires the construction of either towers, which could be affected by adverse weather, or submarine cables to connect the remote islands. And but today, with satellite technology, the cost of satellite technology coming down significantly, and the quality going up, we now have more options in our deployment to the remote areas, or what we call the GIDA areas, the geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. So because of the wider options of technology that's available, and because of policy and regulatory changes that we've implemented, we do look forward to an increased ability to be able to deploy this connectivity at a much lower cost and at a much better reliability and quality across all our islands. And one of those that we're prioritizing, of course, is the Department of Tourism's tourism areas that have been identified early on. So we're working with the Department of Tourism as well as, of course, Department of Transportation to identify the ports and the areas where there will be a need to improve digital connectivity, especially for our tourism areas, visitors coming in. Our airports, seaports, and terminals, transport terminals. Thank you, Daphne.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Uy. Secretary Bautista, one of the efforts of the DOTr in addressing transport-related problems is through the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. What progress have we achieved so far in this field?
The Public Utility Modernization Program started in 2017 during the time of President Duterte. No? And there are 4 major components of the PUV modernization program. One is the industry consolidation, which we are now implementing. Under the omnibus franchising guideline, we want the operators, the jeepney drivers, to join cooperatives. No? It is important that they join a cooperative or a corporation so that they can work together, not compete with each other, and at the same time, they can operate as if they are a legitimate business, no? By employing professional mechanics who will maintain their vehicles. They will have the right dispatching of vehicles so that there is timely available vehicles in different stations. Right now, the consolidation is around almost 70%. No? There are more consolidation happening in Visayas and Mindanao. No? We are working with the Office of the Transport Cooperative to continue to encourage those who have not consolidated to consolidate because the deadline for consolidation is December 31 of this year. No? Another component of the PUB modernization program is the route management. No? We are working with local government in preparing the what we call a local transport route plan. No? In terms of this preparation, we have already attained almost 60% from the local government units. No? Another component is the fleet modernization program. No? This is a very contentious issue right now. In fact, this is one of the reasons why this small group is declaring Tigil Pasada yesterday and until today, but I understand that they will not continue it anymore, no? Because this group don't want the old jeepneys to be replaced by the modern jeepney. They want to keep the iconic jeepneys, no? And we told them that it is okay to keep the iconic jeepney as long as these are roadworthy and they can still provide convenient and safe transport experience to our passengers. No? But we're working with them. We will allow replacement of these iconic jeepneys with almost the same type, but conforming to Philippine national standards. No? The Philippine national standard require that the door is on the right side with comfortable seats, with more fuel efficient engine, no? Euro 4 or Euro 5 engine or electric vehicles. No? Right now, out of around 180,000 jeepneys in the Philippines, there are only around 7,000 modernized equipment. No? So it will take some time for the industry to be able to implement the modernization, the fleet modernization program. But government is helping the transport sector by providing equity subsidy. No? We have given equity subsidies to all those who have modernized their vehicles. No? And we are looking at the possibility of increasing the subsidy. No? So we'll ask for more budget so that we can implement the fleet modernization program. No? Another important component of the public utility modernization program is the social impact on those who will be affected. No? So we're working with TESDA and with the Department of Labor to give them training so that those who will not be driving their jeepneys anymore will have options, will have the right training for them to be able to to earn a different living. Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Secretary Bautista, for all the updates regarding the jeepney modernization program. Okay, back to Department of Energy. Aside from ensuring sufficient energy supply and a healthy energy mix, the need to improve and expand the country's energy transmission system is critical to ensure the efficient delivery of power. Noting the delays in the implementation of key transmission projects, what is the status of the performance audit of the NGCP?
Thank you, Daph. As the President has mentioned, the audit, the comprehensive review of the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines as the private concessionaire of our transmission system is ongoing. And with the Energy Regulatory Commission, the Department of Energy is set to start this soonest. The importance of speeding this up is obvious, because for the last 14 years that the NGCP has had a franchise for the transmission system, the Energy Regulatory Commission has reported that the length of the transmission system in the Philippines has increased only by 8% in terms of circuit kilometers. And that pre-pandemic, the average increase has only been 1.05%. And the delays have even exceeded 8 years in some projects. Therefore, there is a need to speed this up, because the country can't wait for 8 to 10 years for a project to be finished. And we want to be forward-looking here and clarify what is the exact nature of the problem. What are the obstacles that are facing us so that we can work on them? If the obstacle is one of financing or inability or difficulties of the country's biggest monopoly to carry out, then let's find alternative ways of rolling out the transmission construction in the country. So this is what we look forward to do, not simply to find fault, but precisely to find the appropriate solutions for what the country faces.
Okay, thank you, Secretary Lotilio. Department of Tourism, we note that among the DOT's flagship projects is the establishment of tourist rest areas nationwide for the tourist convenience. Secretary Garcia Frasco, please provide details about this program.
At the start of the Marcos administration, the instruction of the President was to ensure that we enhance the overall tourist experience, whether it's for international or domestic tourists. In line with this, we also conducted listening tours across our regions, and the demand was clear. We need a convenient place for our tourists to stop over from one destination to another, and most importantly, clean and decent public restrooms. So important is this priority that even the ASEAN has come up with public toilet awards for countries, recognizing that this basic human need must be addressed when traveling, as it is not just the destination but also the journey. In line with that, we wasted no time and broke ground right away on 10 tourist rest areas across the country, namely in Pagudpud, Ilocos Norte, in Baguio City, several in Cebu, in Bohol, in Manolo Fortich, in Bukidnon, as well as in Samal Island in Davao. We have already inaugurated one in Cebu and will be inaugurating several more this month and in the coming months. We're also breaking ground on 15 other tourist rest areas across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. These tourist rest areas have a convenient lounge for our travelers, a pasalubong center to help our small and medium enterprises sell their local goods as well as the artisanal products of our local communities. It also has, of course, restrooms, PWD facilities, and even a breastfeeding room for our mothers traveling with their babies. In addition to this, this TRA has been implemented in partnership with our infrastructure arm, the TIEZA, as well as our local government units all over the country. Tourist convenience is among the top priorities of the Marcos administration. And that is why, in line with that, we have also come up with another flagship project of the Marcos administration, and that is the very first Philippines hop-on, hop-off bus tours here in Metro Manila. This brings the Philippines shoulder to shoulder with other major key cities around the world that have hop-on, hop-off bus tours. At the convenience of your fingertips, you can download an application for Philippines hop-on, hop-off and purchase your ticket and be able to go around the various beautiful destinations of key cities in Metro Manila. We've launched so far in the city of Makati, as well as in the city of Manila, and launching soon in other cities in the metro. We hope to be able to benchmark this as well in other key cities in the country.
Thank you so much, Secretary Garcia Frasco. And maraming salamat po sa ating mga panelists, mapa-land, water, or air transportation, housing, energy, or internet. Ang infrastructure development and connectivity cluster ng ating pamahalaan ay patuloy na nagtutulungan para sa maunlad at progresibong bagong Pilipinas. And in just a short while, we will have our food and food security cluster. Please do join us here in Facebook via Radio Television Malacanang and other agencies of the Presidential Communications Office. This has been Daphne Osenia Paez. Thank you for joining us this afternoon in the 2023 Post-SONA discussions.